Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, one of the most controversial games in 2024. Let's talk about its troubled development and what led to its failure. Hey everyone, if you're new here, I'm Pineapple Sway, and if you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing as it'll help me out a ton. Now, Rocksteady Studios is well known for setting the standard for superhero games, as they made Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Batman Arkham Knight. But to understand the true story of Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, we gotta go back to 2016. Now, 2016 was a weird year. Arkham VR dropped, and it was basically a spin off game that gave Rocksteady enough time to figure out what they wanted to do next. Now, with that, there's a rare discussion between Thugs and Arkham Knight that basically discuss with them saying, first Arkham Asylum, then Arkham City, then this, Arkham Knight, what's next? I say we leave Gotham. Basically giving us a subtle hint to what would be next for the series. Between releasing Arkham VR and eventually landing on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Rocksteady was throwing ideas at the wall hoping something would stick. They tried to move away from DC, starting a new IP with a multiplayer puzzle game known as Project Stones, which in its base form took inspiration from Portal 2. The best way I can describe it was imagine the Riddler's puzzles, but that's the entire game. Not a mystery to why it did not end up working, but they kept the codename Stones for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which can be viewed and seen in the game's files. Now, let's move on to 2017. 2017 saw the success of the Suicide Squad movie and wanted one of their teams to develop a Suicide Squad game, which this game was originally in the hands of WB Games Montreal, but it wasn't exactly passed along, which you can see right here on the screen, original concept art for WB Games Montreal and their Suicide Squad game, and you can see the general idea of what they had set out. Now, not much is known about this original game, as Rocksteady eventually took over the project. It was set to be in the Arkhamverse, and it was set to basically open up the opportunity of what was introduced through Batman Arkham Origins with the Deathstroke ending cutscene setting up the Suicide Squad. Rocksteady eventually took over and had plans to basically rewrite the story and keep it in the Arkhamverse, which is why in 2018, Sefton Hill got to work. So now, let's go to 2018. Well, now in 2018, Sefton Hill gets to work on writing the story. As most of you guys know, he's a very in-your-face, abrasive, punk rock kind of guy, for lack of a better term. Now, this is going to sound pretty crazy, but Infinity War's impact on pop culture cannot go unmentioned here. Heroes dying and the villains winning was a relatively foreign concept in the superhero media field, and it came with its own audience. The idea of flipping the status on its head and giving the middle finger to tradition was very appealing to him. In fact, had Sefton had complete narrative control, the Justice League would have stayed dead. Imagine how much of backlash that would have caused for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It would have been absolutely insane. The best way to explain the reasoning, he wanted to light a fire to the beloved Arkhamverse because that's what made it great to begin with. They killed Joker and people loved it. They made Batman reveal himself to the world and destroy Batman itself. People loved that too. Now they wanted to turn that up a notch and see how far they could go. But of course, Warner Brothers wanted a gaming universe to come back to. So they made Rocksteady bring them all back to life after the main story. Sefton did not like this at all, and that is why he and Jamie Walker left. A lot of people tried to make this a lot bigger than what it seems. No one really knew why Sefton Hill left, but it's pretty apparent that Sefton wanted to do one thing and WB obviously wanted another thing. Had Sefton would have stayed, would the fate of this game be a lot different? We really have no idea. It seems like no matter what they did, the game was doomed to fail, especially if Sefton had full narrative control and the Justice League stayed dead. I have no idea what that would have done or caused to, fans of the Arkhamverse and that have been desperately wanting a Justice League related title or just something different other than Batman for a long time. Obviously, like what I said, Sefton and Jamie didn't like this, so this is what led them to leaving Rocksteady Studios. It wasn't the fact that they wanted to pitch and make a Superman game, what a lot of people were inclined to believe. Suicide Squad was always in the plans, and they always wanted to make Suicide Squad. It's just obviously they had a different thing in mind. Since WB was constantly forcing him to create different stories and different ideas to fit a revenue plan, and that didn't fit the narrative that he wanted for his desired storyline, his continuation of his beloved Arkhamverse. Now, let's move on to 2019.
I guess you'll fit right in.
Now, for the intro for 2019, I think it's pretty obvious what we're going to be talking about. Joker, the movie, released in 2019, and WB wanted to capitalize off of that. So, in 2019, Rocksteady got to work on the game's post-launch content, and obviously it was all directed towards bringing Joker back, as, like what I said, the Joker movie was released to a massive audience, sparking discussions across the comic fandom, and basically just like that, Rocksteady's first DLC was handed to them on a silver platter. Now, also during this game, development cycle, this was when they were trying to implement the game's melee system. They weren't really sure if they wanted to go back to the old style Arkham combat that we all grew to know and love, but they wanted to implement melee of some sort, almost like an optional feature. Now, with that, they couldn't really figure out what exactly would work, as they wanted to keep the looter shooter aspect and they wanted the gunplay to be the main feature of the game, as featured from most of the game's trailers and even the teaser trailer as you see on the screen right now. But they had a compromise, which is providing only one animation to each character for their melee, which is why it feels very choppy and rough. They couldn't really find a way to make players or entice the melee aspects of this game, as they wanted to keep it true to what they wanted to originally make, and that was a gun-based game. Although the ironic part is, if you've played the game, the gunplay isn't really that great, or matter of fact, the gunplay is fine, but it's just guns don't really work in that game. It's really grenade-based, which is hilarious that they had issues trying to figure out, how to make the gunplay better, which is when you look at the final product, it just doesn't equal to a lot of success, if you get what I'm trying to say. But, rambling on, it's now time to move on to 2020. Now on to 2020. 2020 was a strange year for everybody. The pandemic took over and kept a lot of us inside, and Rocksteady lost a lot of precious time, but they found inspiration for one of the DLC characters, that being Lawless. Behind the scenes, things are starting to get really rough for Rocksteady Studios and the game's development. The vehicle system that has been in the game since the beginning is completely falling apart. The new traversal systems are being built, and a little bit of panic ensues, as they're about to reveal the game to the public, which we all know the game would get revealed in August of 2020 at DC Fandom. And they're just still trying to build a foundational mechanic for the game. They really have nothing. Obviously, like what I've already mentioned, the first trailer for the game launches at Fandom. Very positive first impressions, however, aside from Deadshot. We're not going to get into that though. Almost what everyone saw was really impressed, and they looked forward to the next game. And promotional images as well were starting to build a lot of hype and speculation before the game launched, which I'll be showing right here on the screen. This promotional art obviously had a lot of fans puzzled, but it led to a lot of answers of what the next game was going to be, with a lot of theories before the game was even announced that we would be killing the Justice League as the Suicide Squad. Obviously, all of that would end up being true. Also, with DC Fandom came a panel which we got to hear from the game's developers and Sefton Hill talking about the game and what it would feature. So we're going to take a little glance at that and see what they have to say.
Son of a bitch, that hurt. Golly. DC, you have the cheapest teleporters. That hurt. All right, fan domers. I think I know why I'm here. Check this out. Hey, you must be Sefton.
I am indeed. Hi, Will.
Hey, man. Sefton Hill from Rocksteady Studios, y'all. Sefton, how'd you get here? Did DC also teleport you into the cyberspace realm?
No, they just sent me this green screen for my house.
Is it? You got a green screen? Good. That's neat. Lucky for you. DC actually teleported me into the fandom, which really hurts. But good. Green screen. You're lucky. Cool. Good for you. Okay, well, I guess, look, the cat is finally out of the bag here. This is Rocksteady's new game, and there is a lot of anticipation behind it, right? And the Arkham games are extremely popular, and buzz has been building behind this new game. So, what can you tell us?
Well, I'm really excited and proud to be able to reveal Rocksteady's Suicide Squad. You know, it's a unique new franchise for gaming, and we've been able to put our own spin on it and create something really special that I think gamers are going to love and enjoy. Obviously, it's brought to you by the team that created Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. And in fact, this is a continuation of the Arkhamverse, so a lot of the through threads and the storylines you're going to see come to fruition in this game. So we've been able to combine all of that core DNA with some really great, unique innovations and create what we think is going to be a totally original gameplay experience.
Okay, well, that's awesome. But let me just ask you this. Why this game? Why Suicide Squad?
Well, when we're starting any game, Rocksteady games are all about a character-driven game. You know, it's all about that kind of heart and soul of the characters that we want to bring to life. So we worked with DC, we looked at, you know, all the different properties, all the different great characters that they have. And Suicide Squad really spoke to us because of how fascinating these flawed characters are and the fact that it's fusing all of these characters together. When you're creating a game, you're creating a universe and you want to build it with real heart and soul inside it. And that's what really inspired us to make the Suicide Squad game because, you know, DC have this fantastic roster of villains, and being able to actually play these villains and see the interaction and life between them is something that got us really energized and excited.
I guess for me, my biggest question, and really probably everybody's biggest question that they want to know is, and no offense, but what is wrong with you, man? Why are you making a game about a group of bad guys taking on some of the most beloved heroes of all time?
Well, I think for us, we always want to put our characters in interesting and exciting and dynamic situations. And it felt like the Suicide Squad naturally really lends itself to that. You know, even just starting with their boss, Amanda Waller, you know, she's part protagonist, but also part antagonist. You know, she's stuck these nanite bombs in their heads, and she's forcing them to do this impossible mission, this mission to take on and kill the Justice League. And I think that's where you always find, I think, the magic is when you can put characters in these situations that are absolutely impossible. And then to a certain extent, these things kind of write themselves, because once you've got that premise, you just let that live and breathe. And you think, right, well, how the hell can the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League? How can that even happen? And really, that's the genesis of the game. And then it's down to us to take the player on this journey and tell this story of how that could even be possible.
Hearing that, let's get into it. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the stuff that the hardcore gamers like me want to know. Exactly what kind of game is this? What am I doing in this game?
So the game is a hybrid of Rocksteady's experience in bringing characters like Batman to life, that superhero empowerment, combined with really powerful, awesome gunplay. So the superhero empowerment, I guess supervillain empowerment here, is looking at each one of the individual squad members and looking at what's unique about them and transferring this into this really powerful gameplay and using, that, again, those skills and techniques that we've learned over the years, but actually adding more richness and depth to each of them. So each one of them has a richer move set, more things you can do, and more skill required to master them than you even had with Batman. So to do that across the spectrum of Suicide Squad members has been something that's been really enjoyable, and I'm really proud of what the team have achieved there. And then you can combine that with the gunplay, you know, the awesome weapons you're developing over the course of the game, combined with the melee weapons that you have, like Deadshot's wrist cannons, Harley's baseball bat, sharp-wielding twin cleavers, and special enhanced traversal moves you can use, like Deadshot doing a fuel dump and setting enemies on fire. You know, so it's really about creating a whole spectrum of possibilities for the player to use and just letting them loose and enjoying them as much as they can.
Wow, that sounds awesome. Let's take a couple questions now. We've got a question from Altair from the UK, and he wants to know, what has been the most exciting part about working on this new game?
Well, I think one thing we were really excited about was to bring Metropolis to life. So Metropolis itself is really the fifth character in the game, and it's something we've treated the same with Gotham in Arkham City, Arkham Knight, was giving this city life beyond just kind of bricks and mortar and making it something that really speaks to the player and being able to realize it to a level of detail that's never been done before in any medium. So we created this open world over which the game takes place, and I think it's really a love letter from us to DC fans. I think they're going to love it and really enjoy it, and it's something that I'm really proud of team have done a phenomenal job with that.
We have another question here, also from the UK, which is, you're from the UK, and both questions are from the UK, so somebody do the math. But Ellis from the UK wants to know, with the Suicide Squad game that's coming up, will we be playing as every character from the squad or just one? And if it is just one, which character is it going to be? Because he wants some help killing Superman.
Well, the game itself, the structure of the game is it's a 1 to 4 player co-op game. So if you want to play single player, you can totally play single player. I mean, our mantra has been that you play this game how you want to play it. So if you play single player, you'll still have a full squad with you. You'll have 2 players, 2, 3, 4 will be filled by bots who will fight along with you and really join in the fun and obviously give you that squad experience. But if you want to play multiplayer with your friends, that's still absolutely great. They can join in and take the role of the other squad members. And the great thing is that that's a dynamic experience. So you can play some of the story single player, some multiplayer. The whole game is accessible, single player, multiplayer, in and out of those 2 modes, however you want to do it. So it's really something that we just want to give up to the fans and let them choose. And of course, if you're playing single player, the other cool thing is you can even switch between the characters. You're never locked to any particular character for any particular section of the game. So you want to play as Deadshot, jetpacking around, sniping enemies, you can do that. And then boom, just instantly switch to playing as Harley, swinging around and flying into enemies with a baseball bat around the head. So there's so much freedom in the way you play the game because we really wanted to get across that feeling of being a whole squad and not just one person going on this mission.
Lastly, I'd like to know, if it's okay with you, if can I be in the new game? I'm not saying Task Force X. I'm just saying maybe just like a random handsome guy who's, you know, hanging out in Metropolis, just being handsome and dodging chunks of debris.
I think we can maybe make something work, Will.
Great. Well, then it's settled. That's awesome. That's the contract. Thank you for joining us, Sefton. It's the game looks absolutely spectacular, and it will be made even better by the appearance of me as an NPC.
Sure thing, Will. Good luck teleporting home.
I've made a huge mistake.
Now, looking back at this now, there's something really off. You can tell that Sefton Hill wasn't exactly there, as you guys would know that later on, a few months after this, Sefton Hill would announce that he would be leaving from Rocksteady entirely to basically work on different projects. Now, it was never really stated to why Sefton Hill left Rocksteady, so it left a lot of speculation. Now, the real reason for Sefton Hill is actually pretty simple, and it's not as complex as people pointed it out to be. The reason why Sefton Hill ended up leaving Rocksteady was because his original vision that he had in mind for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was completely flipped and scrapped entirely in favor for WB, as they wanted a better story to help fit a profit margin, as they did not agree with what Sefton had originally in mind, which you guys may have heard already as I mentioned it in a previous video. Sefton's original idea for the game was to keep the entire Justice League dead, and now why would they do that? Well, in Batman Arkham City, they killed the Joker and fans loved it. Batman Arkham Knight, they killed Batman and fans loved it. Well, hypothetically killed Batman. And then Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Sefton wanted to take that even further by killing the entire Justice League and keeping them dead. Not bringing them back to life. Keeping them dead. But this opens up a lot of problems, which I'll be talking about later on. However, this would lead to a lot of issues at Rocksteady Studios and would start to crumble within. Now, WB wanted one thing and Sefton wanted another thing. So Sefton thought, hey, it is best for me to leave the studio. It was nothing to do with the game being backed by Sweet Baby Inc. It had nothing to do with Rocksteady wanting to do a Superman game originally. WB completely squashed Sefton's original vision, and it left a sour taste in his mouth, therefore leaving the studio entirely. Now, say what you will about Sefton. I've had some issues with Sefton, but now knowing that he didn't just, leave entirely, it still falls on some problems to him for abandoning a studio, but it's sort of just, a lot of people try to say that he knew the game was going to fail, so that's why he left. No, his entire vision that he'd been working on for years and years, a lot of work that he put into it, was just completely squashed by the higher-ups. So he just didn't want to deal with it. Although he still worked on the game, he only helped with the game's main story, as he was the main head writer. Now, on to the next thing. Now, obviously, it would have been very different if Sefton was able to keep his original vision. Now, in all honesty, I'm not sure how it would have gone, but it opens up that the game most likely would not have been live service if Sefton Hill was able to keep his original plan. Now you're probably wondering, Sway, what do you mean by this? Well, let me explain. Obviously, WB wanted the Justice League to stay alive as they felt it would help the game generate more revenue. Sefton, however, wanted to keep them dead. Now this opens up problems because Rocksteady and WB aside, had their creative differences, which led to Sefton, Jamie, and some other studio heads to leave Rocksteady. Now, why does this go back to the game being live service? Well, WB wanted the Justice League to stay alive. However, that just couldn't be done. Sefton did not want that to be done. He wanted to focus on something else entirely. He wanted the game to be what they were known for making, a grounded based story, as he even admitted in the interview as we saw a few minutes ago. So with that, they had to basically revamp the entire game and add later seasons enticing the live service elements to fit the game's narrative from WB, because they obviously wanted the Justice League to stay alive. Now, which is why they had to add seasons upon seasons upon seasons. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, so I'll be talking more about that later on in the video. So now we'll be moving on to 2021. Hype grew for the game, but Rocksteady was super tense behind the scenes. Jamie and Sefton were ready to leave. The remaining leaders on this game were very proud of their work and took more control over the project, since it was clear that the previous leadership wasn't nearly as interested anymore. This is why the DLC felt very lacking in terms of story, but decent in terms of new gear and environments. The only people who still had passion for the game were mostly in charge of and had experience in gameplay elements. Story had to take a back seat. Not for lack of trying, those 2D slideshow comic strips at the beginning of each episode were the best they could put out without the full backing. Obviously, as I already mentioned, this was when Sefton and Jamie were planning to leave, and the basically rumor was starting to grow of what led to them leaving. Obviously, I already mentioned of why they left, because WB completely just ruined what he wanted to do. His vision was completely destroyed, which led to most of them leaving. Now, why did I mention, the DLC? Well, they were basically at this point in 2021, they were working on the DLC. They were building these DLC characters, they were building these new maps, they were building these new environments, which I can honestly say that I can show off a few images of what they were working on. Now, obviously, I don't know exactly what these were planned to be, but this was made between 2021 and 2022, as a lot of the gameplay mechanic specialists were working on the game, as a lot of the people that were no longer interested in the project, like what I already mentioned, who were more known for the creative elements in terms of story, were already gone, which leads to another problem later down the line revolving around the game's DLC, which I'll talk about in a bit. Don't, stay tuned. You guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but let's take a look at these images though. Now, in all honesty, not much is really known about these images since this was during the game's DLC, and when they were working on the game's DLC. This is a QVK mode. Now, you gotta think too, during this game's development, what was popular, and that was Battle Royale. I don't know if a Battle Royale mode was planned for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but obviously they wanted to have a QVK mode of some sort, which is basically like a 4v4v4v4. Here's an early development screenshot of Harley. They were getting a lot of progress done during these years, big steps to helping the game's DLC and what was set to be the next expansion for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, since, obviously at the game's core, they were working really hard to these gameplay mechanics, but more and more problems would arise, though, for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And then here's a look at the Brainiac Arena. Now, this image is from 2022, but it relates to the game's DLC. We've also seen that, it doesn't really seem like they knew exactly what they wanted planned for the DLC. It's just all they were told from WB is that they had to bring the Justice League back. Now, this gets to them to why, or a point that I was trying to make earlier. This is why they went to Sweet Baby Inc. Sweet Baby Inc., believe it or not, did help on the game, which is why a lot of people gave it crap. But they only helped with the game's DLC. They had nothing to do with the game's main story. Many people don't know that, however, and like to just immediately make fun of Rocksteady developers, WB, and Rocksteady Studios for allowing Sweet Baby Inc. to work on the project. However, with a lot of the game's story, narrative, developers gone and no longer interested in the game, they had no other choice but to lean to Sweet Baby Inc. to help with the game's narrative, story, and functionality for the game's planned DLC seasons, because they didn't even want to make DLC. They wanted to just keep the game grounded and story based, as that's what Sefton originally wanted. None of this live service crap, which we all know in the gaming industry is basically a plague to any game it touches. Now, with that being said, why did they bring on Sweet Baby Inc.? Well, it's like what I mentioned. They had no idea what they were doing. The people that were still motivated on the project were just good at making good gameplay mechanics. So they had no other choice. It's not like they wanted to willingly work with them. It's just in times of desperation, you tend to do stupid things. Now, did this come back to bite them? Yes, because fans used it more as leverage and critique towards the game. Although in my personal opinion, it doesn't really matter, as we've seen other games be worked on by Sweet Baby Inc. And honestly, it's just all one big giant piece of crap, and I'm not going to spend any more time on it, but that's why Sweet Baby Inc. was on the project. The people that were still motivated to work on this game and want to get it done had no experience in terms of story development, like was what I mentioned, which is why we had comic book strips every season. They didn't know how to craft and build stories, but they knew how to make gameplay mechanics better, which is why on a season-to-season basis, the gameplay got better, but the story got worse, if that makes sense. Now it's time, though, to move on to the next year, 2022, where it seemed like no matter what Rocksteady did, everything went wrong. Now, 2022 was a tough year for Rocksteady. At the end of the year, Sefton and Jamie were set to leave, and they would also face another problem that no one could have predicted, which I'll talk about later. But continuing the topic of the DLC, failing to form properly, WB wanted to hold off on resurrecting Wonder Woman, as they were beginning to invest in Monolith's Wonder Woman, which we all know would eventually be cancelled as another gaming universe. They didn't want the two Wonder Woman characters to be in competition with each other, so they wanted to keep Wonder Woman dead. And so it now reaches the end of 2022, where unfortunately Kevin Conroy passed away, the iconic voice of Batman in Batman the Animated Series and the Batman Arkham trilogy. Now, not much is known, as many people didn't really even know that he was going to originally be in the game, but in his honor, Rocksteady released this trailer, as you see on screen, to let people know that this would be Kevin Conroy's final performance as Batman, and that he in fact was was going to be in the game. Excuse me. With that being said, a lot of people though tried to use this as sort of a way to attack Rocksteady, but I won't be touching on this subject because personally, out of respect of Kevin Conroy and the workers at Rocksteady Studios, I just don't think this is something I should include, but wanted to at least put it in there in case people were unfamiliar or didn't know. Now, with that being said, also at the end of the year, Jamie and Sefton leave Rocksteady Studios, bringing a lot of the developers with them, which I already touched bases on, as many of the employees that were working at Rocksteady at the time who were interested in the game. Now, with that, Sefton and the employees that he brought with him would go on to form their own company. Now, not much is known about Sefton's company, but I thought I would at least include it in the development history video. I believe he is, I think it's 100 Star Games, I believe is what it's called, and they are working on an Xbox exclusive title. Now, this was just basically the beginning of the end for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, as Jamie and Sefton were gone, the passing of Kevin Conroy. The game just was going nowhere in terms of development, and more issues were stacking on top of each other. But they had to get the game out, they had to release the game, they really had no choice because they already invested so much money into the game. They were just trying to figure out and scrap pieces and pieces and pieces to sort of stop the bleeding, because with their leadership gone, it left a lot of just questions of what was going on in terms of leadership and development at Rocksteady Studios. Where did all the time go? Now, this would open up going into 2023 as more and more problems would continue, with the big one being State of Play 2023, which was at the beginning of the year of 2023. I believe it was, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, March of 2023, and we'll be showing this. Say what you will about this trailer, about the State of Play trailer, but let's move on now to 2023. State of Play 2023, the trailer that started it all at the beginning of the end for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, I have much more to say after this showcase, but in case you've been living under a rock, here's what kinda started the issues for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Oh, you know what? Hold on a sec. Hello, Brainiac! Is it happening now? Great. You will have Luthor ASAP. Good news! You want Luthor, all you have to do is come and get him.
Task Force X, what the hell was that?
Flash is alive.
And he has Luthor.
One damn thing at a time. That artillery is gonna wreak havoc on our front line. If there's a snowball's chance in hell you can destroy it, I expect you to. No matter the cost. Are we clear?
Yeah! Where the snowball?
Time to light them all up.
Incoming Ollie! Out of my way.
Guess Quinn ain't holding anything back for later.
Hold my beer, guys. Let's dance! That's gonna leave a mark.
Focus our fire on this tank.
Why do we never get reinforcements?
Thunder upon this tank.
Yes! Spot you, mate! Love explosion!
Up high. Incoming.
Send this chopper flying!
Roger that, Quinn. Eyes up. We got more company. Go, Shark, go.
Senseless violence! Love it!
Nail that weak spot, squad.
No worries! Boom! Job done!
You came through, Boomer.
Just call me the Pinball Wizard.
Unstoppable!
Quinn, there's more of them.
Thank you! Die already! Guys, this one won't die already!
Killing it out there, Hal! Come on!
Here comes the boom!
Huge target. Get on it now.
Rising like a wave!
This is our chance!
Boom.
Ouch!
I love our escapades.
though. How'd the whole taking down the Flash thing go?
Still in play? Now get out of my way. I have work to do.
Well, hey there, sleepyhead. We've got an interrogation to get back to. Hey. You think I'm just gonna let you walk away? And tell these guys everything you know? You think they can stop us? Pathetic.
Pathetic? At least I'm not a big hero turned stooge for a spaceman.
Okay, Boomerang. You want to see what a real hero can do? I'll show you.
Flash, how do I stop this? Please, tell me how.
You have to kill us, Diana. We have to die to save the world.
PlayStation.
Show me what you got.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is an extension of the Arkhamverse, and it's really about now reframing the story and telling it from the villain's point of view.
Where are we going and who are we killing?
It's a mixture of lots of the things I hope the fans like about Rocksteady, but like a whole massive chunk of new stuff that they've never seen before.
We've always seen Batman's perspective on this world, and we thought it'd be really fun and enjoyable to see this universe, but through the eyes of the villains. We're picking up the story 5 years after the end of Arkham Knight, and a lot's changed in that time.
Just checking. We're all seeing that thing, right?
Brainiac has invaded Earth, and he's this huge threat overlooking Metropolis. He's taken over Metropolis City. The Justice League are there to try and save the city, but Brainiac has captured and brainwashed them and turned them against the very people they've been sworn to protect.
Oh, fuck, it's Superman!
So the Justice League share the same goal as Brainiac, to take over Earth and turn it into the new Kalu. What we've created is a classic Justice League, but with the sense that there's something wrong with them.
They are now doing Brainiac's bidding, and Amanda Waller scrambles to try to remedy this and essentially save the Earth. And she recruits 4 lovable characters into fighting the Justice League in an effort to reclaim the Earth and thwart Brainiac's plans.
Your new mission is to kill the Justice League.
The members of the Suicide Squad are Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and King Shark.
Harley Quinn is definitely the most acrobatic of the crew. She's always moving, she's always flying through the air in kind of barely controlled ways. The feeling of swinging and the momentum and the kind of physicality of it, and trying to keep that momentum going and use that to go over buildings or swing under bridges and chain that into kind of the grapple mechanic that she's got. It just feels spot on.
I'm a freaking superstar.
Deadshot has the iconic Deadshot look, but with a Rocksteady twist. He's got a real swagger to him. And in this game, he can also hover with his jetpack. He's super precise. He uses sniper rifles, assault rifles, and pistols, and they all fit with his sort of the fantasy of playing as Deadshot as this master assassin.
Are you on Team Waller, or Team get the hell out of this mess?
King Shark, to me, as a person, is, well, as a fish, is this incredible character who's super well-read and super well-to-do, and I'm sure could smash an operatic performance.
Actually, I'm the son of a god. It is my shame to suffer mortals and their buffoonery.
But also doesn't really know simple words or simple things that are going on. I think that's brilliant.
In terms of combat, he is a brute. He is a tank character. He can take more damage. His abilities all lean into the fact that he wants to get in a bit more close and personal. He's the fastest melee character.
Captain Boomerang's got his Speed Force Gauntlet, that he can use together with his boomerang. He can throw it to any point in space and speed force to that point along the walls, along the floor, and get wherever he wants to go.
You can use that to get up close, dodge around in midair, taking out the enemies, and then scarper because he doesn't want to stick around.
Don't worry, guys. I'm here.
One of the most exciting parts that connects our game to the DC lore are the support squad.
Piss off, Widow.
You have Penguin, the arms stealer,
You're making guns for us now, Bird Brain.
but also some new faces. Hack, who is a digital ghost that is helping the squad both navigate the world but also upgrade their neck bombs.
That's a big adrenaline spike on a nice bomb sending out.
This.
Toyman, who's helping the squad with perfecting gear. And then finally we have Gizmo, who is helping the squad with insane vehicle creations that let you blow shit up.
Metropolis is your playground. You're going to get to meet different characters, different villains, and you really get to see these cool, iconic locations.
Being the city of tomorrow kind of like meant a stark contrast with Gotham City, which is very dirty, it's always raining. And that contrast with like a city that's very grand, it's very clean, it's very functional.
The huge difference between Metropolis and Gotham is that Metropolis really acknowledge and really trust Superman. So there is a lot of statues to thank Superman for everything he's done for the city.
You're getting to see Metropolis through the villain's eyes. You're getting to experience this world and traverse through this world as the villains.
Greetings, Metropolis!
So the core ability that everything wraps around in Suicide Squad is your traversal. How that works with combat is you're chaining your combat moves together with those traversal moves, and the combat encounters are all designed to push and pull you around the environment in a battlefield that's constantly changing, working out how to use all your different weapons, your guns, your melee attacks, and how to use them all to your best advantage to control the chaos and come out victorious.
What's awesome about gunplay is the variety. So there's 6 core types of weapon families. We've got assault rifles, SMGs, sniper rifles, shotguns, miniguns, and pistols. There's added variety from weapon manufacturers.
There's LexCorp weapons, there's GCPD weapons, there's Armortech weapons. Later on in the game, we also have gear sets. The gear sets are villain themed. For example, if you have a Bane gear set and you trigger his buffs in the game, some of it will have the Bane drums and you feel like Bane and like boom, 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 and then there's like green smoke and you trigger all kind of effects. So you're basically taking the essence of the villain, you're bringing it into the game.
Each character has a power level in the game that we call gear score. As you acquire new gear in the game, your gear score goes up. And as that number goes up, it means that you can take on much harder missions. As part of this progression journey, you will unlock more and more builds, more and more ways to customize your character to really fit the way you want to play.
Every firearm in our game is upgradable. So in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, you're gonna get lots of choice to use the weapons that you need to complete your missions, but most importantly, you will be able to customize your squad to be whatever you like.
You can wear whatever you want, any of the outfits. You can be running around in your asylum jail outfit and still have like the best gear score ever.
I like it.
Our game is a 1 to 4 player co-op experience, which means that all the missions in the game have been designed to support solo play, playing with a friend, 2 friends, or 3 friends.
For the single-player fans, you can play it in single-player with bots filling in the role of the squad, so you still feel like you're part of a team, and you can switch them if you want. I'm going to try King Shark now, or we can say, well, I think Harley will be a better fit for this mission, so I'm going to switch over and I'm going to try her out.
But if you really want to tear it up, going in with a full group of 4 lets you experience the full mayhem the Suicide Squad has to offer.
And you get to really experience the dynamics between how you can all play together in different play styles in order to take on Brainiac and the Justice League.
All the fun is right here.
When the story is done, your experience doesn't end there. Rocksteady will continue its legacy of supporting the game after it's launched.
We're going to deliver lots of new content to our players. We're going to have new playable characters, new weapons, and new missions. For players who like to customize their looks, we'll offer a battle pass that only contains cosmetic items. There's just going to be so much for the players to enjoy.
Just picture it. Harley Quinn kills the Justice League.
If you like story games, if you like RPG elements, if you like co-op games, if you like customizing your characters, if you want to play as a badass, this game kind of has it all. It's very fast-paced, it's really colorful, it's loud and unapologetic and in your face, and it's going to be really, really fun.
Hey, Metropolis! Do you like live executions? Well, don't touch that dial, or I'll break your fingers.
Shortly after, promotional art would start releasing for the game. As for May 26, 2023, the inmates are out. Now, as everyone knows, the inmates were not let out on May 26, 2023, as later on, a few months later, the game would reach its final delay. Now, all over the internet, everyone was hating on this trailer. No one liked what they saw, and it was really bad at Rocksteady Studios, and it caused a lot of problems. But on the bright side, you know, a negative turns into a positive. The classic skins were leaked, I want to say, sometime between, I want to say March or April. For the most part, I didn't really see any negative stuff towards this, other than people said that they went woke towards Harley Quinn, but we're not going to talk about that. It was really cool to see these classic skins, and knowing that Rocksteady did at least, you know, showcase these. Now, in all honesty, I have no idea how these got leaked, but they were known as the pre-order bonuses for the game. And then I believe it was April 9th of 2023, we got this message right here from Rocksteady Studios that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will now launch on February 2nd, 2024, after the massive backlash from the 2023 State of Play. Now, this is where 2023 kind of gets a little weird, because it would then be 9 months of absolutely nothing from WB and Rocksteady Studios, giving people the impression that the game was most likely cancelled. However, it wasn't. As I mentioned, as if things weren't bad enough, following the departure of their co-founders and several veteran developers, the gameplay reveal trailer came out and started the hate bandwagon for the game. People started criticizing elements of the game which ironically were present from the first trailer back in 2020. All the characters were shown to use guns since the beginning of the game, and we knew that it was going to be a co-op shooter with a single player option from the beginning. The backlash started because people saw the founders leave and started to garner a pessimistic view on the product. The game is delayed to see what they can salvage out of it. A cancellation or write-off was not an option at this point. They put all of their chickens in this basket, so to speak. Warner Brothers said that this game had the potential to be a billion-dollar franchise, which the remaining developers thought was a joke until they realized that they were being serious. And as most of you guys know, WB starts marketing the crap out of this game. Expensive advertising, partnerships with Twitch, you name it, they were throwing everything they had to market this game, which is pretty funny because I remember a lot of these and seeing this and thought it was the strangest thing ever. Like, I'm pretty sure we had Shroud play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I don't think he ever played it again, but WB definitely paid him a lot to play this game and some other stuff. However, this doesn't fall under the 2023 bracket, it's more in the 2024 bracket. Now, with that being said, for myself, I actually liked the gameplay trailer that was showed off and thought it looked like a lot of fun. And we're going to be talking about some of the key differences that didn't make it into the final cut. As you can see from the gameplay trailer, a lot of stuff was changed, starting with the health bar and the shield bar. A lot of that was changed, and then as you can see, the weapons that are slated on the left-hand side, that was changed as well. The game was also going to revolve around a gear score system, which you heard the developers talk about, which, believe it or not, the gear score system still is in the game. It's just hard to find. Now, they tried to salvage, like what I said, as much as they could to make the fans happy, but inevitably, they couldn't do anything. It seemed like whatever they did always went wrong. And with that, led to more and more problems. But like what I mentioned, they couldn't cancel the game, they couldn't write it off. Now, in case you guys are curious, I will be showing off some of the examples of the TV spots and the weird trailers that they had showcased. I won't be showing any gameplay from the Twitch partners that WB paid because I don't want to get copyright strikes for using their content. But I know a big one was definitely Shroud, because I remember that vividly. I think it was The Rock and Shroud and some other Rocksteady devs as they played Finite Crisis and they were showcasing the game. You guys definitely remember that if you've been a part of this. But obviously 2023 was sort of a weird year because they were kind of at a standstill because they couldn't reveal anything before November because another big superhero game was coming out, and that was Marvel Spider-Man 2. So in all honesty, I think that's why we had to wait so long during that 9-month gap. But I mean, it was 9 months of completely nothing. No leaks, no news, no nothing, just no nothing. Nothing new. It was just waiting and waiting and waiting. And, you know, it was really strange having to wait so long. But back to the gameplay trailer. In all honesty, I honestly liked what was shown, but I had that feeling that this game wasn't going to last as long as the developers made it out to be. I thought it looked like a lot of fun, and from my perspective, it looked like it was going to be a blast if you played with 4 friends. Obviously, that's what they're marketing, and that's what they pointed the game out to be, is playing with 4 friends, and to basically experience, to have the full experience. Now, 2024 also brought a lot of different stuff for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, such as not only were there Twitch partnerships, we had a pre-order bonus trailer, and the pre-order, obviously, which was on November 15th of 2023, shortly after the release of Marvel Spider-Man, because I think they were saving all their marketing for that. We had a ton of, like what I said, weird TV spots and developer updates. Now, the developer updates were kind of a bit, what's the best word? Basically showed off everything good about the game and didn't really lean into the game's problems. Now, I will be showing those developer update videos, so yeah, just stay tuned for that. There's a lot of stuff to cover in the 2023 bracket as hype was building and building for Suicide Squad. So yeah, basically moving on to November of 2023, that's when marketing started really ramping up for this game, and the game was set to launch. It kept its release date, and pre-orders were out, and etc, etc. But the thing was, there was really no hype around it. People were just like, oh cool, the game's finally releasing. We had to wait such a long time for it. But let's show off some of these weird trailers just to show off how desperate WB was trying to market this game. So let's get on with it.
Will, you said you were dressing up for this.
Yeah, man, I sail on things.
That's cute. All right, well, the plan, I'm guessing, is to take out those things with the glowing purple eyes.
No doy, Cheetos. What's the plan of attack?
Well, I have a deep, sexy baritone, so I'll be running point.
Okay, Dad Bod.
You know, in olden times, it actually was considered to be
All right,
heavy.
playtime's over. Let's get some!
Do you really think I have a dad bod?
You look like a pinata, and I want some candy! 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 Candy!
How's that boomerang taste?
I don't miss. You just shot a pigeon. So, what are you, like a pigeon defender?
Oh, looks like Superman and the Justice League are here to steal our thunder.
Why are you smiling?
Don't you see? They're the bad guys. We get to kill the Justice League.
Let's go mess up the spandex!
Kal-El's about to get shot in his D.
Now, looking back on this trailer, I don't really know what WB was thinking. The game was basically already, in the eyes of the developers, done. They didn't want to deal with it anymore. They were already wanting to move on because basically they saw just so much hate and it just led to more and more problems, but they knew they had to at least market the game and release it. Following up after this would be the pre-order trailer for the pre-order outfits, such as the classic outfits as I mentioned earlier, and weekly developer inside episodes. Like what I mentioned, the developer episodes basically showed all the good stuff of the game and was received pretty positively by the community, as people were basically dying for more and more weekly developer updates. But looking at it, it was basically the best thing that there was showcased, and it would also lead later on in 2023 the closed alpha tech test, which, in all honesty, I will be talking about that in just a bit after I show off some more stuff. But there was a lot to look forward to for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but it seemed like Rocksteady was already, looking for a way out, as it became more and more inevitable that this game was going to flop no matter what they did, no matter what they tried to save. The game was basically dead on arrival, as that's what a lot of people said, and that would eventually come to be true. The game was sadly dead on arrival. But let's show off a few more trailers, if you will.
Task Force X, your mission is to kill the Justice League. God help us. You all finished with the fashion show?
Now, shortly after this brings us to the technical tech test, the closed alpha. This was basically an exclusive sign-up. You had to sign up for it, and you were either picked to be in the tech test or you weren't. I'm not sure exactly how many people were able to play the tech test. I was fortunate enough to play it, and basically it was Rocksteady's way of giving people the freedom to finally play their game and decide for themselves. And the tech test was relatively positive. Rocksteady took it a step further by allowing people to speak publicly about the tech test, because originally you had to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, that you couldn't say and disclose anything at all about the game. I myself, once we were given the green light from Rocksteady on Discord, spoke about it, but this was also before I really took off on YouTube, so not a lot of people liked or cared about my opinion. And this was also back when it was still cool to troll people who played Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. A whole discussion for another day, but basically I really liked the tech test and thought the game showed a lot of promise. The issue was the tech test was really the only good stuff about the game. Although I don't want to give, I like what I said, I enjoy this game. The tech test was basically the best stuff. The beginning of the game is really the bread and butter and what kind of brought this game to life. Like what I said, you get to play the first 2.5 chapters of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and it was a lot of fun. You got to experience the Flash getting captured by Green Lantern. You get to see corrupted Green Lantern. You get to do the mission Night at the Museum, which, in case you guys don't know, is the Batman experience. You get to see Batman. You get to see all of these cool characters and really see this universe come to life. And it feels like the game has depth, and it gave a lot of people hope while playing the tech test that everything was going to be alright, but a lot of that was missing when the full game came out. At least that's how I felt. And when I asked a lot of other people that played the tech test, they agreed that everything that was in the tech test just felt like it was completely scrapped and taken out entirely. I'm not sure why this was, but like what I said, the tech test came out, people thought it was positive, Rocksteady allowed people to publicly speak about it, and then we also had, like what I said, the weird streams of famous Twitch streamers playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, promoting the game. Even though you could tell that they were obviously getting paid to play it and did not care at all about the game, hey, it was something for WB to at least try and save this game. Now, moving on to timeline, I'll be showcasing one episode of the developer insider that Rocksteady had during this game's hype cycle and trying to build hype for people to buy the game. I won't be showcasing all 3 episodes, as all 3 episodes are free to watch on their YouTube channel. I'll at least be showing one episode to at least so you guys understand, because a lot of people who may be new to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League may have never seen this. It was basically a showcase of what to expect from the game and whatnot. But let's get on with it. Let's showcase the first developer episode, and if you guys want to watch the other 2 developer episodes, because this was before the game came out, and to give context in terms of time and development cycle, they released the pre-order trailer 3 episodes of the Developer Insider, and then they announced the alpha, the technical test, or whatever you want to call it. So let's showcase this episode.
Where are we going? And who are we killing?
I'm Darius Sadigian, Studio Director at Rocksteady Studios.
My name is Axel Rydby, and I'm the game director here.
Eyes up, people. Let's go.
At Rocksteady, storytelling and character depth are the core DNA of our game. These are not features, but Rocksteady fundamentals. With Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, we wanted to tell a new story. We wanted to expand the Arkhamverse. Coming from Batman, where it was just from his perspective, just from his lens. Now getting to see the world through the villain's eyes was really the hook for us.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a third-person action shooter that can be played solo or with your friends.
It's a story-driven game that highlights Rocksteady's experience in bringing characters to life. As a Suicide Squad, you'll be forced to take on an absolute impossible mission. You must kill the Justice League.
We want the mechanics of the game to really reflect the personalities of the squad.
I'm always first on the trigger.
We want their moves to be flamboyant, exaggerated, chaotic.
Let's make like cheap chewing gum and not stick around.
Now, our 4 members of Task Force X find themselves inside Metropolis. At twice the size of Gotham City in Arkham Knight, it's big, it's loud, it's a battlefield. It's a place built for verticality, mobility, the unique fusion of enhanced traversal, gunplay, and melee weapons, creating a supervillain empowerment that we think is a totally original gameplay experience. There was just an opportunity there to expand into co-op and have this dynamic world where friends can come together to share an experience. Or players can go solo, switching character members between missions while savoring each and every story twist.
Do you feel it? The swell of pride for what we have accomplished together.
We want to welcome you all to the first episode of our new series, Suicide Squad Insider, where we will provide a deeper look into Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Over the next few months, we'll be unpacking the game, answering your questions and sharing a few surprises as we move closer to our launch on February 2nd. We'll also cover how Rocksteady will continue to support the game and its players post-launch with a huge amount of free content.
On this episode, you're going to hear from different members of the Rocksteady team as we explore more of the game's story, the world of Metropolis, and the core gameplay experience.
The Suicide Squad. A fitting moniker.
Let's jump into it.
Normally, when you make a game in a superhero universe, the protagonist is the best person for the job. The squad are definitely not the best people for this job. They're the only people available.
Hey, Suicide Squad!
Fuck you! And so it gives the narrative and the gameplay a kind of frantic, slightly panicked feeling where they are trying to figure this out as they go. The Arkham games weren't gritty because Rocksteady makes gritty, dark games. They were that way because that's what suits a Batman story.
Every game we approach that with a similar mindset of just like, how do we enhance that experience? How do we excite players in new ways?
For the studio to try something new and stretch our legs at a shooter first with the high, powerful traversal elements was coming out of our comfort zone somewhat, but we wanted to see what we could do to put an Arkham spin on the action shooter space.
Now get your damn gun out!
In true Rocksteady style, the cinematics are kind of the heart of our story. It's the most cinematics that we've ever done, and every one of them is crafted to perfection.
We're not just trying to do what we did before. We're making something which fits the source material that we think will make for an interesting story, but will feel different.
To introduce you to our story, let's jump into an early part of the game. Amanda Waller, the director of the government agency Argus, sends the team behind enemy lines into Metropolis.
Harley Quinn, should you not be more cautious?
She ain't wired that way.
Oh, Deadshot.
Hidden in an underground train station, the team finds a secret elevator.
Until we figure out where the hell we are, let's play along with Waller.
Oh, is this a superhero museum? Hate superheroes. And museums.
I've seen it on TV. It's the Hall of Justice.
So let's rob the place! Idiot!
Through these doors lies the inner sanctum of the Justice League. Sounds very grand, doesn't it? And it is.
She's a dame who can almost make me listen to a boring PSA.
Don't touch anything that's gonna set off an alarm. I ain't fighting any supers for you.
I have read much about the Justice League, and still, they are larger than I expected.
Those holograms aren't actual size, Sharkman.
It's so true to the characters that they're in Hall of Justice and the first thing they think is, what can we steal?
Hey man, watch the... Ah, shit! Glass. I'm okay. What the hell you got there? Thought this baby was a myth. Speed Force Gauntlet. Back when Doc Savannah tried to lift Flash's gimmick.
Miss you, Red.
I'm still okay!
Baby! You found the Riddler's hat of invisibility!
Where'd the shark go?
Children.
Ooh, nothing says international assassin like a frickin' jetpack.
Shit. I'd break my damn neck.
You're probably right. Jetpacks seem more like a Deathstroke thing anyway. Mine.
That, hat's not gonna get you vertical, Shark.
I can make my own way up.
Well, tickle me stupid. Sharks can fly.
All right. New toys, load of guns. Let's get up on that roof and get our freedom back.
So here we're taking these iconic characters who don't typically traverse the way they do in our game, but that's the beauty of our storytelling. We've managed to take these unique abilities and make that an extension of their personalities.
Our power is undeniable!
We loved working with Gotham and making that a world for players to experience, and we wanted to do that with a new location.
Good to get out of that place.
We felt that Metropolis was the natural next step to extend that. And what better way to introduce it than through an invasion from Brainiac with no Justice League to save them?
Just checking. We're all seeing that thing, right?
The entire game is about fighting behind enemy lines.
Oi, Wally! What the hell have you sent us into? It's a bloody war zone out here. There's a giant skull in the sky.
Congratulations, Task Force X. You're the first assets to make it into Metropolis alive. We're sending a signal transponder to your location.
So you're essentially in Brainiac's backyard.
Your orders are to activate that transponder.
What the hell are those things?
and there's no civilians left. Brainiac's killed them or made them into soldiers to do his bidding. And through this corruption, the people of Metropolis have become extensions of Brainiac.
Hey guys! Thinking I shouldn't ate that extra tapioca put in my lunch!
What the player knows from our title and what the Suicide Squad is about to find out is that here, the Justice League are the bad guys. They've been corrupted by Brainiac, and over the course of the game, your mission will be to kill them.
Ugh, Green Lantern! Nice! Hey, your face always looks so... what?
Harley doesn't have any innate superpowers, so to go up against these beings that have incredible strength, it's a challenge.
I'm in the middle of a recon for Brainiac. Let's walk and talk.
You're talking about, you know, the all-star team of superheroes here.
I want you to see this. Pay attention, Floyd. Let me go home, please. Get it off! Get it off! Looks bad, feels worse. But once you've been enhanced, there's no going back. Outstanding.
When you face off against the most iconic characters in all of superhero-dom in the Justice League, it's by many people's definition an impossible task.
You're searching for stragglers, augmenting Brainiac's army. The Shard gets it.
The stakes that Rocksteady sets, the challenges they heap upon you as a player.
Time to rally up with Brainiac. Ready to make the leap?
You know immediately, like, this is the tallest task I will ever take on in a video game.
Flash! Brainiac wondered how you got off the ship.
Speedster secret. The League doesn't leave anyone behind. Let's make you right, buddy.
You know, that's just what I was gonna say.
You're going to be fighting the Justice League.
Hey, Metropolis!
There's nothing more high stakes than the boss battles we have in this game.
These are gods like Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, The Flash.
So, what's the plan?
At that point, the game really opens up. We start to see players look at their weaponry and really ask the question of, like, how am I going to kill the Justice League?
Yeah, looking forward to killing the Justice League and all, but, well, you know, these guns are a bit shit. No offense.
Then head northwest. That's the last known of a Gotham arms dealer who's dug into Metropolis. Oswald Cobblepot.
The freaking Penguin!
You want to last more than 10 seconds against the League? Cobblepot's been running anti-meta weapons for years. I want him recruited and brought back to the Hall of Justice.
Oh, I'm gonna recruit the shit out of him.
Since Batman Arkham Knight, the Penguin is no longer confined to Gotham City. He's made a name for himself in Metropolis as the authority on anti-meta human weapons. Now, Waller wants the squad to recruit him for Argus.
I see you've already stolen traversal equipment. You'll need it to stay off the streets. Setting a new recon point. Go.
At the heart of each character's playstyle is their traversal. Traversal gives the player total freedom. Every character has their own way of getting around that determines how the player moves through this world.
Don't like to boast, but how great was I?
Controlling a superhero character is fundamentally it's a power fantasy for all players. We wanted movement through the city to be fun. Just existing and moving around in Metropolis is a good time.
Metropolis is quite a normal city. Well, as normal as a city can be in the DC universe.
We spend a lot of time trying to get that art direction correct, trying to get the feel for it correct. You get to see all the kind of DC lore that builds this space.
Let me do the talking with Penguin, okay?
Not just a building, it's a daily planet. You know, there's a lot we can inject into the city that makes it more than just a city.
Penguin is not truly a penguin.
Yeah, mate. And I'm not a boomerang.
It is known for its size, its scale. Anything from the DC lore, you look at Metropolis as the city of tomorrow.
When did Penguin get out anyway?
Out. He was barely in. Money talk, creeps walk, you know?
I hear that.
It's just a great way for players to experience Metropolis in a new way.
G'day, Pengo. Remember me? No. Ain't this a right rogues gallery? Who's the big bleeder? Think his cousin used to work for me.
Ooh, which one?
Busted him out of a circus. We're getting the hell out of the city before Argus finds us. You in?
But we are working for Argus.
You bloody what? Real slick, Shark. Good talk. Nice catching up. Give my regards to the locals.
Traversal is at the very core of our game. You will need to be on the move and master each character's movements if you want to succeed. Harley's grapple is made to let her take advantage of the environment to quickly get out of troublesome situations. Or she can use it to quickly close the distance to introduce them to her baseball bat. Swinging from the background lets her circumvent the troopers' shields and flank them. It can also let her catapult herself into the air to shoot the corrupted from above. Now that you've seen some of Harley's combat in this scene, let's explore the rest of the squad's unique playstyles in other encounters. Captain Boomerang uses a mix between sniper rifles, SMGs, and shotguns.
What's cracking?
Each character has an iconic melee attack that can be used to create what we call juggle kills, and also break enemies' shields. Juggling an enemy with a melee attack means they take guaranteed critical hits from all guns for a short period after. Shoot enemies in their legs, and then close the distance to do a shield harvesting strike to get some shield back. Let's shift focus to King Shark.
Cause to celebrate!
King Shark is literally death from above, which he gladly shows with his Atlantean drop attack. He's the character that can take the most punishment. Heavy weapons, assault rifles and shotguns, and his trusted cleavers, sickles, and combat knives for some brawling action. For the bigger enemies, each character gets a super powerful single target attack, the Suicide Strike. This one-shots any enemy hit, but it takes longer to recharge, so it's important to use it tactically. Finally, Deadshot.
See, you're low caliber, and I'm high caliber.
His traversal is made to let him create his own vantage points. This works great with his weapon loadout of sniper rifles, assault rifles, and pistols. For more up-close action, Deadshot relies on his iconic wrist cannons. One thing we really wanted to bring into this game was a reimagined version of the Arkham counter system, and mix that with our traversal and shooter gameplay. Introducing Counter Shot. Each enemy has a different reaction to the counter shot. Some will be stunned, some will take damage, some will be interrupted and then get really annoyed. Now let's take a look at Harley absolutely demolish Brainiac's forces with all these tools.
My show's all knock 'em dead material.
Oswald Cobblepot, my man. Do we have a job for you? Tell him, Quinn.
You're making guns for us now, Bird Brain.
Thanks for joining us for episode 1 of Suicide Squad Insider.
What? I'd already started, so I followed through.
In the months leading up to our launch on February 2nd, 2024, we're looking forward to sharing more details and insights about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. In our next episode, we'll be deep diving into more gameplay, combat mechanics, and how to take a fight to the enemy in your own unique style.
I want to show you what happens next. Let's call it a sneak preview.
We really want players to feel like they explored all these characters that we bring to life in this DC universe.
I'm going to enjoy this.
You're starting with characters who aren't very powerful, and through the story, you're learning how to use their skills and become powerful.
We really wanted to deep dive into the RPG system.
You have your enhanced traversal, you have gunplay, you have weapons, there are upgrades and unique talents. And all of that stuff fusing together to create this kind of unique experience.
Together, we are unstoppable. Join me.
Are you kidding?
Tombstone.
It's weird taking a trip down memory lane, but now we'll be moving on to the next year when the game was set to release. We had a lot to cover in 2023, and I kind of apologize for the information overload. Not much speaking on my behalf for 2023, but I'm just trying to show as much context as possible so that people who are new to this game and kind of understand the development cycle know what's going on. But moving on to the next year when the game was set to release, 2024. Now, Rocksteady thought maybe they would finally catch a break, but things would only get worse for them. The game releases and it sells actually quite well on PS5 in its first week, but it doesn't bring in virtually any post-launch revenue, which is what they expected. The only successful cosmetic were the ones for Harley, hence why 99% of the skin packs included her. And even Season 1 didn't do much to reignite interest in the game. They already knew Year 2 wasn't going to happen, but now they were told to cut Season 5 entirely, only providing enough funding for the 4 seasons that were advertised, as they were legally obligated to release those 4 seasons. So that kind of concludes the base game's development history and development cycle. Now we'll be moving on to the DLC, starting with Season 0, Episode 0, Finite Crisis. The Brainiac fight was set to be the Flash. Everything made it here to launch except Gear Score. Gear Score is going to be a supplemental rank to go along with the Finite Crisis rank, similar to how in later seasons certain missions would be locked until you either ranked up and completed a mission. Gear Score was going to basically be in the game, but they scrapped this pretty late, like a few months before release. This change was to allow more freedom in the gameplay and give the perception of a more open-world single-player experience that people wanted. As most people know, the meta for this episode in particular was awful. This was by design. They wanted to start off all the difficulty modifiers, turned up to 11. Seeing how many people were able to break through to the top of the leaderboards, unfortunately for them, not many people stuck around for that part. Most players saw the story complete screen and uninstalled the game. This was understandable, and as Finite Crisis was significantly lacking in story again, this was by design. The lack of a story was to get players focused to transition from story to gameplay, as it was much easier and cheaper to develop for post-launch content. Season 1, the Season of the Joker. Why Joker? Same reason WB chose the Suicide Squad game, a very successful movie and a desire to duplicate those profits via a new medium. Mark Hamill was never contacted to reprise the role. They decided very early on that they wanted a fresh interpretation to align with a more modern view of his character. You know how in the Gotham TV show Penguin and Riddler are much younger and they have a vague romantic relationship. This sort of dynamic was a huge inspiration for the new Joker. Now moving on to Episode 1, Fear, with the Brainiac fight being Lantern. Virtually nothing was cut from the episode, bearing the release of the QVK mode that was intended to be dropped sometime during the first season. Whether it was originally planned for Episode 1 or 2 is still a mystery, however. Then Episode 2 would launch a new enemy type, Lantern-infused vehicles, and a new mission type, the Watchtower missions, which we all know, and the Brainiac fight being Superman. This was the last episode where they had the power to provide active developmental changes for the game, new mastery levels for gear, shifting to the carrot approach meta, corrupted items and stuff. This was the episode where they realized that the game was going to inevitably end at Season 4, so they did the best they could to basically finish the game. Season 2 was Miss Freeze. Why Freeze? Due to Mr. Freeze's popularity in the Arkham games, they chose him as their second playable character. They wanted an ice-themed character who returning players were familiar with. The original plan for the character was to have Victor Prime come back after Nora's passing, but after some contemplation, it was decided that bringing Victor back after Nora's ending would do a disservice to the character, so they went Elseworld. They gender swapped Mr. Freeze. Not only that, but it's not as deep as people tend to make it. It was just to keep the familiarity of the character, but make them different so people were able to tell that they were different characters. They didn't want people to think this was Mr. Freeze. Now, Episode 3, new enemy type, Flash-infused enemies, and the Nora escort mission. And then Brainiac fight was Superman and Flash, and then obviously we have to save the Flash. Episode 4 was the Brainiac fight, Lantern, and Superman. That kicks off Season 3, well, the Season of Lawless. Why Lawless? They created this character in 2019 through 2020 when streaming skyrocketed in popularity. She was also heavily inspired by Ryan Wilder's Batwoman from the CW. A young black woman who grew up in the system and now acts as a vigilante to flip the system on its head and basically help out the disenfranchised. Her original traversal concept was a bit more point and zip like Boomerang and Deathstroke, but with black holes, where releasing the traversal button at the right time would allow her to use that momentum and slingshot further. They changed it due to playtesters calling the timing narrow and frustrating. This would lead to Episode 5, Thieves, where we save Green Lantern, and the Brainiac fight was supposed to be a Batman stealth fight. Inevitably, that was cut. Episode 6, Balance, would introduce Batman-infused vehicles, which I do think might have made the final cut. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think it did, actually. And then the Brainiac fight for Episode 6 would have consisted of a Batman combat fight, which you can tell from the dialogue that it was obviously going to be Batniac, but it didn't make it. Fun fact though, if you go to the Episode 8 in the Nexus menu and click Episode Gear in the background, you can see the Lawless logo, another piece of evidence that Balance was originally supposed to be Episode 6, which, in case you guys don't know, Balance is Season of Libra. Season 4, the Season of Deathstroke. Why Deathstroke? To pay off the origin scene, mostly. Also because he's just, you know, an amazing character. But that's a given. Him killing 2 Brainiacs off screen was always the plan, but it was supposed to be explored a bit more with his recruitment scene that was basically turned into an audio log. This would be Episode 7. There was no Brainiac fight. This was the Deathstroke sword scene. Slade kills off 2 Brainiacs off screen. And then basically this would lead to Episode 8, which Episode 8 is pretty interesting because this was going to be the episode where Batman was set to return. After rescuing Batman in the original plans, Batman was supposed to say, "I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman," which you can hear in this trailer, as it's used in this trailer, as I'll be showing right now.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
This would then lead to Season 5, which Season 5 would actually have been the only season that didn't include a battle pass or a new character. It would have been Episode 9, Focus, and Episode 10, Finality. A Lantern, Superman, and Flash infusion with the Flash and Lantern helping you to fight Brainiac, and then in Episode 10, Flash, Lantern, and Batman would help you out to fight Brainiac, basically to end the game. There was an extremely cool segment here where Batman phases in during his part of the boss fight and basically outfears Brainiac in the same way Harley did to take Batman out in the main story. It's another fake out bad ending where Brainiac wins and the Arkhamverse is destroyed, before Batman narrates that he would never let this happen again, and the ending rewinds similar to the VHS tape and Catwoman's side mission in Arkham City. We finally finish the tagline of Batman saying, "I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman." When the segment concludes, we see the final cutscene for Brainiac's story. Superman delivers the final blow to Brainiac and makes a comment about sending him to the Phantom Zone when he wakes up. The ending would have kept the point of no return style, where the endgame would continue before the events of the final boss. Now, this also brings us to the clone theory. Believe it or not, this was not the original ending to the game. So, no one really knows what the original ending was meant to be, but I do know from what I've heard that Kevin Conroy was cut from the DLC because they went with the clone theory to basically wrap up and finish the game. Another reason was because they didn't want to use Kevin's voice for any future content. They wanted his final performance to be Crisis on, I think, Infinite Earths Part 3, so that way they wouldn't catch more hate for making his final performance tied to the game. In all honesty, I think the addition of Kevin Conroy would have helped tremendously for the game and made fans really happy. And the last reason was the budget. So that basically concludes this development history of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So I just wanted to say thank you guys if you made it to this video and watched all of it. If you made it this far, let me know what was your favorite part. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that helped make this video become possible. There was a lot of people that I can't mention, unfortunately, that were able to help bring this video to life. You guys know who you are. I love that you guys were able to give me all of this information so I can share it on YouTube in a more positive light. I also just wanted to say that, man, it's been one heck of a journey. I've enjoyed uploading Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League this past year for you guys, and I'm glad that I'm able to share this development history video with you guys. It has been a ton of fun. I look forward to bringing you guys more Kill the Justice League videos, believe it or not. But as always, this is Pineapple Sway. I love you guys. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, Please give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing. The entire development history of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Till next time, everyone. Peace out.